Hey TCS TV viewers, it's Chris Niccolls here from the camera store, coming to you from outside my old school. We're going to explore Sunnyside today with the Canon EOS M50, their brand new mirrorless. I'm eager to see how it plays out. Now let's just see what I brought with me here today. First off, I've got my camera store Get the Picture classic bag, which I lifted from the rental department. And inside, I've got my Canon EOS M50 here. And I'm gonna take out the 22mm STM f2 lens. I always love that. Got the 18-150 zoom, and I wanna talk about that a little bit more in terms of this camera and its capabilities. And just because we wanna keep things wide, I've also got an 11-22. That's what we're gonna shoot today. So I'm just getting the camera set up the way I like before I go shooting here today. And you know, there's some good and there's some bad stuff. On the good, I mean, I do like the grip. It's got a nice comfortable feel. And the overall look of the camera is a lot like an EOS M5, which I enjoy. I actually found that to be one of the more beautiful cameras on the market right now. But at the same time, we do have a very simplified control structure. This is very much like the M100, its lower end cousin. And you know, the main things that I'm finding that I'm missing, first off, only one control dial on the front. So, you know, it's fine if you're doing aperture priority or shutter priority, but when you go into manual, you have to hit the plus and minus exposure comp button to cycle through, and that's always just a clunky, slow interface. So rather, I think I would just use the touch screen to get past that kind of inconvenience. Also on top of that, you know, things like the feel, the build quality, the dials, the way they turn, it does feel a lot cheaper than the M5. And I mean, I guess there's gonna be some cost cutting, but overall it does have a kind of delicate plasticky feel to it. Now on the top of the camera, we do have a fill flash, but rather than have a spring-loaded release button, it's just a pop-up with your fingers kind of job, but that works fine. And the back screen does fully articulate. It's just over 1 million dots, you know, it's pretty typical, but fully articulates, and it's interesting that it recesses basically inside the body housing to give you this flush back kind of look. So overall, it's a usable interface. I do like the menus as well. For people starting out, they're really gonna like Canon's new guide system. It's clear, it's concise, it's helpful for beginners. But I just can't get over the fact that it does have an overall cheap kind of feel to it. You know what's nice is actually a really warm day. We're getting hit with a Chinook. The downside is it's just gonna be a muddy, gross, icy mess. So have fun with those photos today. But on the plus side, in a more uplifting note, this bench has inspired me. I am gonna use it today in my camera review. Oh, I should probably put a card in the camera, actually. That would help. One sec. I know what I'm doing. There we go. Edit that out, eh? So of course the light is pretty harsh out here, although honestly, to its credit, the Canon LCD screen is fairly viewable in bright sunlight. And again, as usual, the touchscreen controls are excellent with Canon. But I'm glad that I now do have a viewfinder. I mean, for me, the M6, the M100, that's a huge, huge letdown, especially at their price points. And bringing this thing up, it's a 2.36 million dot EVF, which is comparable to all the other cameras in its price point. It's quick, it's responsive, I like it a lot. It definitely makes me smile. Now, autofocus on the EOS M5 is brilliant. Again, it's dual pixel hybrid AF, it's smooth, it's fast, it's predictable, the touchscreen works great, and actually they've improved this as well on this particular camera with the new Digigate processor. We're now to about 99 selectable autofocusing points that you can choose from, and you can even get up to about 140, just over 140 with certain lenses like the 28mm macro and the 18-150 zoom, which I've been using today, just to name a couple. So in that regard, fantastic, fantastic work. The real downside, and again, you're probably gonna, you know, expect this, and I'm kind of sounding like a broken record, it's just that we've got so many M-series cameras now, too many frankly, and we still don't have any new lenses, and I don't know what gives. I mean, this is the biggest weakness here. To not be totally negative and harsh, I'm using the 11-22 in the most cliched way here on the Beast Bridge. That's what you do, ultra wide angle, and I do love this lens. It's sharp and it's affordable, and frankly, no other mirrorless company has an ultra wide angle at this price point. They have really nice ones, but they're all $1,000 or $1,500, and so this is an excellent lens. But the only thing we really saw last year was the new 28mm macro. 0. I mean, it's such a slow progression. And I worry that Canon's also now, you know, if they're focusing on full frame mirrorless, if that rumor's true, is that going to push these back even further? Yes, you can get the adapter, but that's additional cost. You got to throw it on there. It makes these cameras bulky. It's just not an ideal solution. Canon has to make more lenses. So I hope we're going to see those. Please listen. I'm going to do 120 and 720. Is that what you want, Jordan?
That's what I want, Chris.
Oh my God.
Duckies.
Yeah.
Slow-mo.
They're barely moving. They're already in slow-mo. A couple more neat features that I want to point out. With the Digicate processor on the M50, you actually now get 7.4 frame per second shooting. So that's quite impressive. It's very good for quick bursts, capturing the right facial expression in the moments. However, keep in mind your buffer's only going to give you about 7 to 8 shots before it slows down. So short bursts, but fast ones. Another neat feature too with the M50 is they've updated it so now when you're connected Wi-Fi to your phone, walking around and shooting, you can actually have the camera send every photo you take automatically to your phone. This can be really cool if you're trying to back up or save things, and so that's a nice new feature, which again, I think we're going to see in more cameras to come. So in stark contrast to the terrible photos that I'm taking today, look at this beautiful street photography exhibit that we have beside us here. Although I did take a lovely portrait of Jordan, as usual, he's a handsome man, and I did use a feature that was actually brand new on the Canon EOS M50 that I was actually really excited to try, and that's this eye detect autofocus. Now, Sony's eye detect autofocus is great. I love it, it's beautiful, it makes it easy to get the iris, which is exactly what you want. Now the Canon EOS M50 does it a different way. This only works in AF face tracking focus, okay? And although it's beautifully accurate, you know, I'm looking at it, if Jordan moves forward or backwards, it follows him. When it actually comes time to take the picture, it is gonna lock it at a single point. So if he were to move after that, or if I recompose, I can't guarantee it's gonna be in the right spot. So unfortunately, it's not as effective as the Sony. Now, how this is gonna impact basic starting beginner photographers though, is in a very, very positive way. I mean, if you're just trying to do nice portraits, put your subject to the right or the left. You don't have to recompose them. Touch the shutter button, it's gonna focus on the right. When you push it, it's gonna go right where you want it to. But if you're trying to get somebody doing a more candid thing or a street photography thing, by the time you focus and get your composition, they're probably gonna have moved. Now in the M50, we have their 24 megapixel sensor that comes from the EOS 80D and the 77D, and I love this sensor. I mean, first off, this is a big strength for Canon. Just the color and the quality and the saturation out of camera, it's just something that people naturally gravitate towards. They like the punchiness, they like the look of it, and that's a big plus for them. But eventually you're probably going to want to start playing with your own files, editing them, pushing them and pulling them, especially if you're a beginner, which is kind of where this camera's aimed at. You're going to want to get into RAW photography. Now Canon have CR3 RAW files, which give you lots of dynamic range, and they've always dealt with it that if you wanted a smaller file, you could then do a medium resolution RAW file, so a half-size RAW file. This is something Sony could really learn from and put in their cameras. But they also have a new feature now for this camera. It's a CR3 file. It's a full-res RAW file, but it's compressed. Now, this isn't new technology. A lot of companies have done this, but it does let you drop the file size, but still keep the 24 megapixel resolution and still have a good amount of dynamic range, minimal quality loss. So this is a nice feature, and this, along with the eye autofocus that they're now adding, makes the M50 kind of a test bed for some new technologies that I'm sure we're going to see on all the Canon cameras in the future. All right, let's talk about the Canon EOS M50's battery life. At a time when the whole industry is improving battery life in their cameras, unfortunately, the M50 takes a drop. It's using the LPE12 battery, which is thankfully a very affordable battery, which is good because you're going to need to buy more. But it's a small battery, and unfortunately, battery life is down to a rate of 235 shots, which is pretty rough. I mean, does Canon even care about us anymore? Do they even give a shit about what we think when it comes to having a usable camera? I guess not. I mean, I'm giving them a hard time. And the fact is, really, it's probably cost cutting, trying to keep the price down. But, overall, this battery is just a big pile of doo-doo. All right, so we're doing a vlog style here on the M50. And again, this camera is gonna be popular as a vlog camera for a few reasons. It's lightweight. I've got nice quality here at 1080 that you're seeing right now. I'm shooting at about a 14 mil wide angle equivalence. That's about a 22 in full frame terms, which is great. Look, you can see a nice background there, and I've got a flip screen so I can see how abrasive it is when in vlog style I move the camera constantly and make the background shift all over the place. I think that's the style of it. Well, anyways, I want to talk about another new feature which is really exciting. exciting, and that is 4K. Let's switch that right now. Okay, and now we're in 4K, except looking at the screen, you can't see the background, and more importantly, you can't even see my hair. Jordan, where did my hair go?
Chris, calm down, okay? Now, we've known about this since the camera was announced. I'm Jordan, the video guy, by the way. To explain this crazy crop factor when you go into 4K recording, uses the central 8 megapixels of the sensor, which gives you way over a 2 times crop factor. It's really dramatic, and it means you're gonna have to reframe your shots when you're going between 1080 and 4K or between stills and 4K video. It's a huge drawback to it. Not only that, but you lose the dual pixel autofocus when you jump to 4K, which is Canon's one big strength for video capture. No one has anything close to that. And at this price point, it does seem like a lot of drawbacks. Now, let's not forget, if you're an NTSC region like North America, this camera won't shoot 30p, it'll only do 24p. Now, that's fine for us, we shoot our show at 24, but it can be a drawback if you're looking to match it to other 30p footage. And that really summarizes my whole feelings with the 4K on this. It feels rushed to market, unfinished. But let's forget that for a second and remember, this is the most capable mirrorless Canon if you're looking to shoot video. It's got that great fully articulating swivel screen on it. We still have a mic jack on it, great dual pixel autofocus. If you're not as serious about video, this is not a bad starter option, but I do think you can get more compelling cameras from Sony and Panasonic in this price point right now.
All right, so as you can see, we're back at school, and what have we learned? Well, is Chris a Canon hater? I know you guys are gonna call me one of those after this video, and I'm really not. It's not my fault, honestly, but maybe I'm looking at this in the wrong way. I mean, you know, as a camera reviewer, when I look at these cameras, I'm looking at them for their overall feature sets, things that I don't like, and how they compare to other brands. And if you look at the M50 at the price point, although kudos to Canon for trying to get the price point down, it's still high enough that it's not going to compete with cameras like the A6000 at that price, and it has to be forced to compete against cameras like G85s, X-T20s, and A6300s, and that's where we run into some problems. Okay, so the M50 is not going to please a lot of camera reviewers, and it's not going to please hardcore photographers either who are looking for bang for buck and, you know, deep feature sets and things like log files for video and stuff like that. But maybe that's the wrong people to approach this camera with. This is an excellent entry-level beginner's mirrorless camera, albeit at a higher price point, but I like the easy-to-use menu system. The touchscreen's intuitive, the autofocus is quick, and you know, things like that eye autofocus feature, although not fully fleshed out like a Sony camera will have, will still be excellent for people doing casual portraits. The other people that might like this camera are vloggers. They might have some appeal there with, of course, the flip-out screen, the dual pixel AF, the excellent touch controls. You know, the mic amp is good, although again, we're missing the headphone jack, but that 4K, unfortunately, is just not going to please very many people at all. Vloggers won't want to use it unless you got an 11 to 22, so you can compensate for that loss of frame. And, you know, having things like the loss of dual pixel AF, that's one of the main reasons to get a Canon to do vlogging with. So keep this as a 1080 camera. Keep in mind that it's still not the best value for the dollar, and otherwise you might find you have a camera here that you will genuinely enjoy. So don't forget, check out our Instagram feeds there, tweet to us, leave comments below. And you know, as far as hating Canon, take it easy on me, folks. Try to give me a little bit of a break here. I mean, you gotta appreciate that Canon is no longer competing against Nikon. It's not that classic duel anymore. I mean, if you wanna make mirrorless cameras, especially in the amount that Canon have made now so far, you are competing against companies like Sony for stills and video capability, Panasonic. I mean, you gotta look at the other mirrorless competition on the market. And in that regard, Canon's gonna have to step up their game. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.